guess what? They went ahead and dropped the other drip marketed character, and I literally was about to fall asleep. I'm not even kidding. 5 more minutes, and I would have been in the bed, knocked out. But they went ahead, sent the notification to the phone. Honkai Star just posted Adventurine is here, and he has an amazing freaking design. I love it already. The fur lining on the coat, the chips on the ground, the cards. Yo, don't tell me he's gonna be doing some cool stuff with chips and cards, like some weird tricks with his animations. If that's the case, I'm going to freak out. That's gonna be the coolest thing ever. But looking at Adventurine, we have something really cool. He's going to be imaginary preservation, so this is a really cool thing. And another thing to note, if they do bring out the other drip marketed character, which is a 4-star, which they usually do on the second half, we will be talking about it. Right now I'm refreshing on the side just to make sure that they don't post it without me knowing. If they do post it, we will be talking about that as well. But right now it seems like it's been a good amount of time before they would have posted the 4-star, so we'll end up seeing. But right now, looking at Venturine, he looks really cool. I like his design. And if you didn't already know, in case of lore reasons, he is the best buddy, I guess you could say, or co-workers with Topaz. If I'm not wrong, she was the one calling him at the end of the Bellabog quest, with, you know, Topaz talking to him on the IPC stuff. That's who Adventurine is, if you didn't know. But now to look at his stuff, how does he involve with the meta? How good is his addition to the game? I think this is a really good thing, especially because right now we've been buffing out a lot of the more offensive portions of the game. We've been giving out dot characters like Black Swan. We've been giving out harmony characters like Ruan Mei, like Sparkle. So this is a really good way to, you know, build people's accounts up. And then now we have another Nihility unit, which is also Akron, which a lot of people are going to be summoning on. So this is a slightly bit hard for Adventurine, especially because he does have to compete with a lot of different characters, and I do want to talk about that. Him being a preservation unit, what does that mean? Him being a preservation unit means he's going to be a shielder or someone that is going to stop you from getting, you know, one shot. That's basically the identity of the preservation path. You have characters like Fu Xuan, characters like Japard, characters like Trailblazer, characters like March 7. These characters right here are going to stop you from getting absolutely one shot, or at least try to. The characters in abundance, they're not going to help you get one shot, but if you are low health, they'll make sure you don't die anymore. They're going to get you healed up, your HP's full, you're all good. So looking, he's going to be imaginary preservation. He has to stand up against 2 units, and I do say 2 units because I do think one of these units still competes in this game and is still able to do what he needs to do, just because he's still pretty good. First, he has to compete with Fu Xuan. That's already a hard thing. Then he has to compete with Japard. That's a hard thing as well. Japard is almost indestructible shields. Japard has a freeze that he can use. Fu Xuan in the same way has a sustain mechanic where she basically has God mode for the rest of her life and also provides it to the team. She also gives crit buffs. She also gives HP buffs. She also gives a damage buff if you have her light cone. She gives a crit damage buff if you have her Eidolon. There's a lot that Fu Xuan does, and it's very hard to compete. And it's a weird thing when you're looking at a preservation character and an abundance character, because when you really look at it as a sustain, that role is occupied by 2 different roles. And seeing that he also has to compete with someone like REHOO, someone like Luocha, who's also an imaginary sustain, that is a very hard thing for him. And that's going to take a lot to be able to deal with, because you are looking at characters that are having a full complete kit that are absolutely nasty, and looking at characters like Luocha, Japard, Fu Xuan, Bailu, REHOO. Yes, I added Bailu. Don't question it. And Lynx is also very amazing as well. I'm also trying to make sure that they don't post the 4-star so we could talk about it if they do. Seems like they're not going to post one, which is kind of weird, but we'll see by the end of this video. But yeah, Adventurine being imaginary preservation, this is really freaking cool. I just think right now that he has to compete with not only Luocha in the same role, because yes, if he is just a regular sustain keeping you alive, where does that put him over or under Luocha? That's the main thing. And especially because he still needs to get his rerun. We still haven't gotten Luocha's rerun. We haven't gotten Fu Xuan's rerun, and people are very, very excited for that. So what is he going to do that is different from all the other preservation units, and someone that is going to supersede Fu Xuan as well with how many buffs that she gives? It's almost impossible to do that. So are they going to play the same type of thing we've talked about with Akron? Are they going to change the preservation path? Because realistically, Fu Xuan is the only person who's been doing that at the current moment. Fu Xuan is the only character that is doing beyond their means of being in the preservation role and giving buffs on top of whatever you are looking at. So looking at Adventurine, what can he do? Remember, we got to make sure we're not letting people get one shot. So he still has to do some type of damage mitigation and giving shield. So what are the things they could add? Maybe they could add the preservation unit doing damage. Maybe they can add them adding more buffs. Maybe something similar to Fu Xuan, but maybe in crit damage instead of crit rate. maybe prevent CC intervention. There's a lot of really cool things that they could do with a sustainer, but it's a good thing they are looking at a sustainer when it comes to coming into the game, because like I said, they have been doing a lot of offensive utility type characters, whether it be DPS, whether it be supports, and it's a really good thing they're finally bringing back another sustain, although we just did have REHOO. So this is a really good thing. I really like this. He has a really cool design. Right now, Imaginary, although I think they have the same amount of 4 stars as some of the other paths. God dang, okay, with Sparkle. Never mind. They quite literally have more 5 stars than most of these elements, which is kind of weird. Okay, this one's cheating though. This one's cheating, and I know this one's cheating because it has the trail, but dang, you only have 2? Okay, a lot of these elements do need a lot of help. I'm not gonna lie to you. But looking at Imaginary, we have Luocha, Well, Don Hung, and Dr. Ratio. Looking at Mono Imaginary, it's a really good addition. I don't think, and it's going to be very hard to push Luocha out of this role alone and being Mono Imaginary, just because of how good Luocha is. We all know good his off-field healing is. We all know good how his on-demand healing is, his field, his buff strip. What is Adventurine going to do? And then when you're wanting to go ahead and go into his own path to make it a little bit easier for him to compete, you still got characters like Fushun and Japard. So he has to do something absolutely monumental to be able to go over someone like Fu Xuan, to be able to go over someone like Luocha, and going over other characters that don't necessarily have to be quite literally on top of what he is, which is his element in his path, which is REHOO. You have other characters like REHOO, you have characters like Lynx, Bailu, you have characters like Japard. There's a lot of sustainers that you have to worry about when going against them, and especially someone like Aventurine. We got to see what he's going to be doing. I know they are going to for sure be stepping up a lot of these characters when it comes to the next region, because they're going to make sure to bring out new mechanics, new ways to play. They're going to keep it fresh. They've been doing so, and they've been doing very well, especially with how Dr. Ratio works, especially with how Ruan Mei works. This has been an absolute amazing patches that we've had, and a lot of the characters that they have been bringing out since release up until now in 2.1, which we finally know is Acheron and Adventurine, which he also has to compete with Acheron, even though they're not in the same role or they're not in the same element. Acheron is a very big fan favorite because of her, you know, Noria, I don't know how to say it. That word, when you say they're like famous enough from other series that they're here now she's going to be taking that spot, and Aventurine is the next character after. It's going to be super hard for people to summon this character. I'm not going to lie. He might be like the easiest skip of the life, just because Acheron, Black Swan, Sparkle are all in the same vicinity as Adventurine. So he's in a good spot slightly, only because he does have that second path or second patch, you know, magic, where he can look at the stream, you can look at the next drip market, and you can see is Adventurine worth it or not. That way you have all the information available to you, and it's a really good thing for a character to be in that spot, because it gives you a lot of time to think and reflect on what characters do you really need for your account. But right now, like I said, it's cool that he's Imaginary Preservation, but he has a lot of competition in both of those paths, both Abundance and Preservation. And same thing with Mono Imaginary, he still has to complete with Luocha again. Like, there's gonna have to be something different when it comes to the Preservation path, and there's only one character at the current moment that is doing something different, which is Fu Xuan, which is a full-on offensive style kit with defensive utility. What are they gonna do with Adventurine? Are they gonna do the same with Fu Xuan but just make it crit damage? Are they gonna do some type of, hey, you hit me while the character has their shield on, kind of like March 7th, I'm gonna do some massive damage to you? Or is he going to inflict debuffs? That's not something that Preservation has. You can inflict debuffs on the enemy while you are shielding your whole team up. That'd be some super cool stuff. You hit me, I'll give you a debuff. If you hit someone with the shield, I give you a couple of debuffs. That'd be super insane, and that would work so cool with Dr. Ratio. You know what? They need to do that. They need to do that. And looking at Honkai Star at the current moment, looks like we might not be getting a 4-star for the first time in a long time. So unless that changes, I'll probably make a video, I'll probably make a comment, all that type of stuff. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end. Let me know if you're excited for Adventurine, or if you're just going to summon for Acheron or Sparkle or Black Swan. I'm super excited for the stream. Let me know what y'all think. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the next one, and peace.